Welcome back to part 2 of the sofa slipcover. And what we're going to do is take the pattern that we made in part 1, and I'm going to show you how to take the fabric of your choice, find the up on the fabric, and start making the actual slipcover. So let's get started. So the tools you're going to need to complete this slipcover for your sleep sofa are the same tools that are in the modern wing chair video. You're going to need a straight edge, a ruler, pencil, pair of scissors, and or electric knife if you have one. Makes the job a lot easier and faster. And of course a fabric of your choice that's going to make the slipcover look beautiful. Now the first three things we're going to cut is the seat platform, the inside back, and the outside back. What I want you to do is take your slipcover pattern, find the SP, which would stand for seat platform, and you can quickly identify it too. There's IB for inside back. Just take the pins out enough to be able to free the seat platform, and you see this line right here. This represents the platform where the inside back came on the sofa. This is my mark for the platform. This is where I want my tuck in to be. Or in this case with the sleep sofa, we're either going to use Velcro. You can use Velcro, ties, or a zipper. I think this one we're going to probably end up using Velcro, and if you do that, I think it's going to be easier for you as well. So what I'm going to do is take my scissors and just free this up right on that line there, and cut this completely off or away from the inside back. Take these pins out. We're going to fold our fabric over, and we're going to start cutting for the seat platform. Let's give our attention to the fabric that we're going to use. This is a low pile chenille, and if you are using a chenille yourself, you're going to have to look for the direction that the pile lays down. So whenever you're using a chenille, you want, when you're coming out of the seat of your furniture, for the pile to be smooth. You don't want it to be rough. Now this particular one, it's rough heading this direction and it's smooth going down this direction. So if you're going to go up the bolt, and I'll explain that, that is if you're going to cut all your fabric heading this direction, on a sofa, it's not going to reach from left to right, a standard size sofa, because this is only 54 inches wide. So you got two ways of doing it. You can take two pieces of the width you need, or the depth you need, and you can sew the other end here and put the cording, or not necessarily cording, but the seam in the center of the sofa. So it's split exactly in half. Or you can take the depth you need, cut one of the depths in half, and sew just 27 inches on this side and 27 inches on that side. And of course you would center it, so you'd have two seams on your sofa, one on your my right and then my left here. So you can do that. I'm not going to do that. We're going to railroad for this particular slipcover. You still need to find a direction. So find an up. We're going to choose you. We're going to make you up. We're going to go this direction. So if you're railroading, you're going to fold your fabric in this way. You're going to go from here to here. This, as I just said, is going to be your up. And we're going to put the halfway mark of our pattern on this fold mark here. Now if you are cutting the slipcover up the bolt, you're going to fold it seam to seam like this, and obviously this is going to be your fold. And when it comes to the pile for a low cut pile, you're going to have to go with that being down, because that's the smooth side. The railroading, it's equal, up or down, so it doesn't make a difference. But we're going to make you up. Okay, so let's get cutting. Okay, so now that we got the seat platform on the fabric, I folded it over. My arrow is going this direction. We made this the up. What I need you to do is take a tape measure, and this is where we cut free from the slipcover pattern. Go up 3 inches here. I put a stick pin in there. If you can't do that, I understand. Just make a little small pencil mark there. Small pencil mark here is 3 inches as well. I'm coming from my cut line. And then 3 inches out from this line. Now this represents the inside arm right here. As you know, this is the seat platform. This is half of the sofa, because we did double cutting. It gets a little tricky right here only because it's a sleep sofa. Now all sleep sofas generally should, or most of them do, have a board like this. I'm going to represent this as the board, okay? And your bed starts about right here. You want to be able to have access to the sleep sofa even with a slipcover. That's the point of the Velcro. We're going to take that off and then be able to pull the bed out without taking the whole slipcover off. That's the fun thing about it. Okay? So what we need to do is measure the distance of your sleep sofa rail. I'm going to call that a front rail. And ours is 3 inches, the one we're working on. So I need to come, this is the blue line here represents the skirt. I need to come back 3.5 inches from this blue line, putting a stick pin. I have one right here. 3.5 inches up, 3 inches out. And we're going to add the Velcro to the fabric that I'm cutting. The 3.5 is because I always come a 1/2 inch down for the sew allowance for my skirt. Okay, so that's what this is. I'm down 3.5 inches. I came down a 1/2 inch and I'm going up 3.5. So I hope that makes sense to you. Just get the thickness of your board. Your bed is here. The bed front frame is here. I need that thickness. Come up. Remember you added a 1/2 inch. Put a pin there. Go out 3 inches here. And then now let's make the lines by simply taking a pencil, drawing a line here, coming over to that pin or your pencil mark, and then connect the 2 pencil marks and make a mark, and let's cut this free. Okay? Okay, so I did cut out basically the square here, 3 inches out here, 3 inches out to here, 3 inches out to there, like I just told you. But now here's another little thing I need you to do because of the sleep sofa. Normally we wouldn't have to go through all this ordeal. What I want you to do, this is the pin that comes up 3.5 inches from the blue mark. Now, like I said, that's my skirt with a 1/2 inch added to it. We're going to come out a 1/2 inch from here where the blue line is going to be cut completely out, completely off, thrown in the trash, and then we're going to come out just a 1/2 inch up here and then straight on over. Okay? It'll make sense when we start putting everything together, but that's what I need to do. It's because of the sleep sofa, so we can have access to it without having to take the whole slipcover off. So what we're going to do is just simply cut this blue line out like this. Okay, and here I'm going to come out a 1/2 inch and then straight across there. And that should do it. Okay, so now I've put the inside back up here on the fabric. Obviously got my arrows going in the right direction. And I made enough room at the bottom of the salvage for my 3 inch, because once again we're going to have, I wrote it down in here, the tuck in, add 3 inch here. So instead of me making the mark with a pencil and then cutting it, I just use a salvage. Now if your salvage is fraying heavily or it's not going to work out, then move it up and make your line 3 inches here. Now the tuck-in area for the arm part, so we're talking about right here on the sofa, where it starts to bend, as you see it is here or on the tracing, I need you to make an arrow, as we did here in red, and this is where we're going to do 3 inches up to here, and then this is going to be 1/2 inch. Everything else is just a 1/2 inch. Okay, so 3 inches here, up to the arrow, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, all the way around, and then make your 3 inches down at the bottom. So I'm going to cut this out and then we're going to move on. Okay, so now we just cut out the inside back, and we're going to use the top of the fabric that was over top of the inside back for the outside back, and for good reason, because they're generally both the same size, the inside, the outside back. However, remember in the other video, or if you haven't seen it yet, see the video about shadowing on fabrics. This fabric has to be going in the same direction, because if not, it's going to cast an ugly shadow between the inside back and the outside back. So a quick little tip idea as well is we're going to flip this over this direction. The fold's going to go that direction, and we're going to make an arrow mark, because it can get kind of confusing when it's a solid. You can't tell. There's no distinctive pattern as what is up and what is down. So make sure you make little chalk marks. Don't use pen or anything like that. It might go through. Okay, chalk marks fine. This piece right here you can use for a scroll. Ours I don't think this piece is big enough. Ours is too big. So, but do save this little piece. I'm going to cut straight on up here. And we're going to cut out the outside back. That's what we're going to use this for. So take a little chalk there. You can do it in an inconspicuous area if you want, right there. And this piece as well. Because if your scroll works inside this area, it's perfect. So let's cut this free. You can just put a pin in there if you want to keep them together. Just set it aside. I'm going to cut this free as well. Okay. And we're going to fold it this direction. And that works very well for the outside back. Fold marked, salvage. This is half the sofa. Once again, outside back. So say you got interrupted or something like that, or you wanted to take a break. When you come back and you're not sure, oh, did I turn it around? That's how these things help out. So just make little steps as you go along, so in case you do get interrupted, a phone rings or you're getting tired of doing this and you want a break. So make little marks like that. So what we're going to do as well for the outside back is this is our skirt line. It already has our 1/2 inch in it, so we don't need to add anything to that. This is the top of the sofa here, and this is the end of the sofa there. This part right here, let's save this for bands, okay? So it's very important, cushion bands. So I'm just going to cut this line out and try to keep it as clean as I can straight across there. 1/2 inch up here, 1/2 inch up there. There's no tuck in on the outside back, I'm sure you know that. But let's not waste this, okay? So make sure you save that. So I'm going to cut that out and get back to you. Okay, now that that's cut, I'm going to take this little piece here just to show consistency. And we're going to make our arrows there. And this little piece here I can use for the other part of the outside back. This little piece right here, I felt in the part 1 it'd been nice to show that you can make this little piece here. This is the back of the slipcover, or back of the sofa, that you can put the zipper in here. Because we got to get past this little scroll area here. It's challenging to put the, and I do mention this in part 1, it's challenging to put the zipper right on the corner with the cording and then going up around the scroll there, which we do need to get around up to about right here. So this particular case, I wanted to make a little piece for you to show that you can do it that way as well. So in part 1 I explained that. But that might fit here. So I'm going to use this piece, take these pins out, and I'm going to put that here, cut that out, 1/2 inch all the way around. This little blue or pencil line lines up with the blue line, and that represents where the skirt's going to be. And then I got good news. This little piece that we cut out earlier does fit this scroll. This is the front of the sofa, and that fits there. So I'm going to do a 1/2 inch outside here, cut off the skirt line there. So I'm going to work on the back of the sofa for the outside back. I'm going to the front of the sofa. I'm just basically working on the scrolls right now. So 1/2 inch out all the way around, blue line cut off, pencil line on that one cut off, and then we'll move on. Okay, so now we have the inside arm, IA, and the outside arm, OA. And this is right underneath the scroll right here, this line that represents there. The blue line, I know because I use the snap chalk, is my skirt area. So we need to cut this free. And the way I did it cutting the slipcover in part 1 is I took one long piece and just rolled it straight on over. Now that will work if you don't have a shadowing problem, but we do with this fabric. So I have to cut this free. If not, we're going to have the same problem we have with the inside back to the outside back. So let's cut this free, and then I will set up my fabric to cut the inside arm, and I'll explain what we do for the tuck-in areas on that, okay? So now we're moving on to the inside arm, and this whole piece will roll right on over the top of the arm, and we have our pile or our direction of the fabrics going correctly. So this is still unique because it is a sleep sofa, and I'm going to try to explain this to you. First, let's make it easy. This is where the outside arm meets with the rolled over part of the arm, okay? and we're going to cut a 1/2 inch outside here. Okay, so then that'll meet up nicely with the outside arm, and then going over top of the scroll on the top of the arm. Okay, going underneath. So I hope that makes sense. Just a 1/2 inch out up here, and this ends up representing the front of the scroll of your slipcover, and that's going to be a 1/2 inch out there. So far we have 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and this is where it gets a little complicated. This is the front of the rail of your slipcover, and we talked about it when we did the seat platform, that there's a piece of wood here, and you have to get your measurement of what size it is, and the bed sits back here. So we need to come in, or just cut rather, a 1/2 inch outside your pencil mark here, and then we're going to come out 3 inches, just like we did with the seat platform, because they have to match up. 3 inches out from here, okay, and then basically a square intersection here, 3 inches, up to where the arm starts to be tucked in here, okay? So just a 1/2 inch outside of here. So I hope that makes sense. So it just gets a little more complicated with the sleep sofa, but it's just a 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch to this point, 3 inches out here, 3 inches, 3 inches, and then we're going to taper into a 1/2 inch, and then now we're going around where the inside back meets the top of the arm. So that's how that works there. Now we're going to cut the outside arm. This fabric here is what's left over after me just now cutting the inside arm, and it's going to fit just perfectly. Here's our blue line here. We're going to cut right on that line. That's our skirt line once again. And this here is going to be a 1/2 inch out. This is what's attaching to the scroll of the top of the arm coming over, and that's going to attach right here. This is the outside arm. And then the 1/2 inch outside of here. So just a quick recap, everything's 1/2 inch except for the blue line. We're going to cut right on the blue line. And the fabric that's here above, we're going to use for zipper bands, possibly maybe even a skirt if it fits in the measurements. So that's what we're going to do next, and I'll get back to you. So usually we'll find scrap fabric or leftover extra fabric to cut a cushion, skirts, bands, what have you. This particular piece, I don't know if you're going to see it in your film, but I can definitely see it here, on your monitor, but there's an imperfection running through here. I was going to cut the center back cushion for this, but obviously I don't want to see that. So we're going to put this aside. I want you, if you're in this situation, I want you to save this for zipper bands, because you're going to have zipper bands for 6 cushions, at least for this particular sofa. So let's put this aside. Sometimes you can put a little note on there so you don't go back, what is this? And you keep using it over and over, or trying to use it over and over. Put a little note on there for zipper bands for when we get to the sewing video number 3. So this sofa has 6 cushions. We've got 3 seat cushions, 3 backs. The 3 backs on this sofa has a half bull or a bull nose or a half T cushion, left and right side. The center is just a rectangle, and the seat cushions are pretty much just a rectangle or a square. So I pulled this fabric out. I'm folding the fabric over, and I'm just going to simply do my measurements for the center back cushion for this one. Transfer this thought, this idea, if you have rectangle or square cushions, to the next 3 seat cushions. Okay, and we're going to do the half T's or bull nose cushions in a moment, but we trace those. Okay, so don't measure those, just trace them. You can do it, but it's just easier to trace them if they're in good shape. Okay, I found an imperfection here. I don't know, there's a hole. So that's why I'm coming up kind of high here. Now, you need to get a straight line as much as you can. If you have a pattern on your fabric, obviously work with your pattern. You want to center it if you want to center it. If it's not random, then you're going to have to work with your decorative part of your fabric that you want to show. Okay, so this is a solid. I still want a straight line. I'm trying to give you a little idea in case you don't know this. If you have a nice ruler, this particular one has a line here and a line there. I like to use a T-square. It makes it easier. I take my T-square and put it at the end of the salvage, and then obviously that should be relatively, straight. Good enough. If you don't have that, how do you know you have a straight line? You got to have a straight line to make another straight line. So my father told me this years ago, you just take these two lines right here, line them up the best you can with your salvage. We're very fortunate. This is a clean salvage. It doesn't have a lot of fraying, or has no fraying actually. But do the best you can, keeping these lines straight. And then the ruler here should relatively be right on. You should be good. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go above this hole here. And I have plenty of fabric, so I'm fortunate here. I'm just going to eyeball it, just to say the 18 here. Okay, and I should meet that imperfection there, that hole. On your paperwork, you always go, whenever you make a measurement for a cushion, always do this, or skirts, what have you. Always go left to right, or the width, and then you do the depth, or the front to the back. So this is going to be our back center cushion. Our fabric is up in this direction. I have finished measurements written down. You can do it either way you want. If you get accustomed to writing the cut measurement down, and then when you sew in a 1/2 inch, then your cushion is complete, it's fine, great. But I've gotten accustomed for some reason to always do the finished size. So I have to add 1 inch, 1/2 inch on this side for sewing, 1/2 inch on this side for sewing, and obviously for the top and the bottom. So this particular size is going to be 23 1/4 finished, and I'm going to measure up from here. I'm trying to avoid this imperfection. We have 4 inches. Now it is a solid, so it's okay, but if you have a grain in your solid and your line is crooked, you're going to see it. So try to keep it as straight as you can. Let's just put our ruler here. 4 inch, it's looking pretty good. So my line looks pretty straight from here to here. I'm going to give you another idea, another tip to think about. You notice I turned my ruler over. I turned it over because over the years, when you do this, you'll run up here and make a mark across all your numbers. So try to get in the habit of turning the thing over if you're using pen or something, because you can do that sometimes. And you run up across your ruler, you're not making the important side of your ruler marked up, making it difficult to use. So now we got a straight line there. I'm going to pick, say, from this pin over the amount that I need. What did I say? I need 24 1/4. You can just use a pencil here. 24 1/4. Looks like I'm not going to run out. I can come down just a little bit toward this direction. The fold ends up taking some of the fabric, believe it or not. It's got a little bit of a bounce there. And the bottom one ends up being a different size than the top one if you cut in this fold too much. Trust me, if you do it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to make a mark right here. 24 1/4. That will include our seam allowance. Right there, so I got a mark there and there. Now I need to go up just 17 1/4 finished. So it's going to be 18 1/4. Right here. Okay. And 18 1/4 up here. Now, I want to make this darker again here. Now, I'm not going to use a T-square. I'm used to using it, but I'm going to try to do it as if I don't have one. Obviously, I can use 18 1/4 here. I got my pencil mark here, okay, from my left to right. And I'm going to, this is obviously a straight edge. I'm trying to line that up nicely with my pencil mark here, above my imperfection. And I'm hoping that looks straight. Looks good. I'm hoping that is straight. 18 1/4. There. I want to double check. This ruler is so old. The numbers are hard to see. Yeah, 18 1/4. This was my father's ruler when I was a kid. And 18 1/4 here. Okay, but I'm not on my pencil line. I should have come over some. So let me move my ruler over. Lining it back up here again. Pencil lines right here. I'm not going to make anything permanent until I make a small mark here. Okay, I came down just a little bit there. I want to come back over here, and you just keep going back and forth until you have established a square. I'm coming down the ruler there, and I don't know what I'm going to have here. Let's see. What do we need? 24 1/4. And yeah, I'm right on. 24 1/4. So now what I'm going to do, I have my mark here to here. Just double check everything. Don't cut a thing until you know you got your measurements right. Okay, that's 18 1/4 up here. The zipper's going to go here. It's important. Make a zipper mark here. So when you get at the sewing table, and if you want to be even safer, you take a little chalk. You make that an arrow, because you don't want to put your zipper here. It's a rectangle. It's kind of hard to tell. It's a solid. You have nothing to go by. So make your marks, like leave those little breadcrumbs. And it makes it so much easier once you get in this habit of doing these things a certain way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my lines, make my marks, cut this out. It's a square. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my seat cushions, because they're not half T's, they're not bullnose. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to do the trace for the half T and bullnose. So we just cut the center back cushion. As I said, transfer the same idea to the square or rectangle seat cushions if that's what you have. There's only one difference. The zipper went here for the inside back, okay? And for the seat, this is going to be your front, your zipper is going to go there. Okay, so your fabric for your seat is going up on the seat toward the zipper. Okay, so don't forget that they're opposite directions. So let's move on to the inside back, or the back cushions of the tracing of the half T. Now this seemed to be good enough to be able to trace. It's a little ratty, but that's okay. I think it's still going to look good. And what we're going to do is simply take this. I need 2 of them. This is my band size, 3-inch. I do finish, so you need to add a 1/2 inch to this. So it's finished at 3 inches, or just write down 4, whatever you want, your cut measurement. And the number 2 here means the amount, so you can cut a duplicate amount of fabric and then just get it all done at once. Okay, so you don't have to do this twice. In fact, I actually recommend that. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's just a 1/2 inch out everything outside this tracing, and then that's it. So then we've got the cushions cut for this job. Okay, so I rolled out the fabric. I looked for imperfections, and unfortunately I did find a few. There's one here, one there. They're about 3.5 inches up, or 3 inches up. So if I go 3.5 inches up, I can avoid this imperfection. Cut around it. So we're going to do the skirts now, and what I want you to do is, if you're railroading, I want you to go from obviously the cut part down to 54 inches. And the reason why we do that is 54 is the standard width of fabric. So if you're going up the bolt, because that's the way your fabric has to be done, then you just would go from left to right, salvage to salvage, and you'll be fine. Railroading, we have to go down 54 inches. So that's what I did. I made a pencil mark at 54 here. And as I said, I got to come up. I'm going to come up 3.5 inches to get around this imperfection. Now, what I've just done is established the beginnings of cutting the skirt. I'm going to draw a clean line here. We're going to go from that clean line up to 13.5. The reason why 13.5 is because you always have to add 2 inches to your finished skirt size. Ours is 11.5. So I went up 13.5. We'll explain that in part 3 with the sewing. When you do liner, I want you to do liner 54 inches in width, and you need to make it the finished size of your skirt, which would be 11.5. So cut your top fabric, your slipcover fabric, 13.5. Cut your liner the finished size of your skirt, which in our case is 11.5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to mark everything up, and the little bit of waste, or excess I should say, up at the top, we're going to use that for a band. So we try not to waste anything if we can help it at all. Okay, so let me mark it all up, and you come back, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, I went ahead and made all the measurements in pen so it'd be easier for you to see. The pencil didn't look like it was showing up very much. So I went around the imperfection, or went above, I should say, the imperfection. Here's my 54 inch mark, left to right. Each one of these 3 here represent a skirt. You're going to need, for the standard size 6 cushion sofa, 7 skirts. So I obviously have more work to do. Up here, instead of just wasting this fabric, we did 2 bands that could go to your seat cushions or your back cushions, the cushion bands. And each cushion, the general rule is 3. If you're a little confused, or not sure, I should say, because you have very large back cushions or seat cushions, just measure it around the band and then obviously do the math. Okay, but for the general rule, 3 will get you around each cushion. So if you have 6, then obviously that's going to be 3 times 6 that you're going to need. And 7 skirts. Keep your direction going in the proper way. So on the back of each skirt here, you can make some arrows there, like that, because when you get at the table, the sewing table that is, you don't want to be confused. So mark all that. And as well, mark, before you go to this extent, mark on the back side, if you can, of your fabric, and use pencil, because if you make a mistake, pencil's not as damaging, and the back side, obviously, you can still have a line there and not even have known it the whole time. So I don't really recommend, definitely not Sharpie, but great pen, but not for marking on fabric, but definitely use pencil. It's much better if it's going to work, and if not, definitely mark on the back. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the liner. As I mentioned earlier, the liner must be cut in the same width, 54 inches, and you have to cut the liner at the finished size of your skirt. So just once more, our skirt size is 11.5, so we have to cut this 11.5. The top fabric is 13.5. Don't confuse the two. And it'll make sense when we get to the sewing table. Incidentally, too, when you do your liner, I want you to always railroad it. Do not cut it this direction. Don't say, hey, this is 54, I'll use that. I can understand why you'd think that, but it has stretch. You want it not to have stretch. This here is not stretching as much as this. Well, oh my goodness, look at that. I mean, there's a lot of stretch there. It's going to make your skirt twist, pull, and buckle. It's going to be terrible. Always railroad your liner fabric. Now let's move on to the cording. That is, or piping, if you're going to use that in your slipcover. You can do it either way. This one's going to have cording, but it's important we use the right kind of cording. This cording is called mop cording because it looks like a mop, or the strings of a mop. This cording here, don't use this cording here. This is a upholstery cording or paper cording. And the reason being is when you launder your slipcover, which we only recommend dry cleaning, just like you would your drapes, it can affect the cording. If you use this paper cording, it's going to start unraveling and falling apart. This can withstand dry cleaning. So only use the mop cording. This here is 5/32 size, that is, and so is this cording if you're going to be doing upholstery. But we're not using this, so you need to get 5/32 mop cording. That's your standard size cording for slipcovers and upholstery. So mop cording for the slipcover. Now what we're going to do for the cording amount, this is a 6 cushion sofa with a skirt. Standard size is going to be, fabric that is what you're going to need, is about 1.5 yards. So that's 54 inches, and that's what I rolled out here and cut it off. I'm using this particular piece because this one too had imperfections. So we try to look for them, work around them, use them when we can hide it, or put it in the cording if it's not that bad. This is the salvage in here, okay? Is a quick little way of doing this. Pull this over to the other corner, like this. Try to straighten it out as much as you can. Making it even, that is, I should say. Like that. And we got the folded side to me. It's folded back over like this. It really saves a lot of time folding it over, but it does make it kind of hard to cut with scissors. So make sure you have a good quality pair of scissors that are very sharp so you can go through multiple layers at once. It does help. Now let me reach over here and grab this tape measure. You might be wondering, what size do I cut it? And it's a good question. It has to be 1.5 inches. That's the way it works out. You cut your cording 1.5 inches in width, and that's what this is. I got this years ago. This is 1.5 inches. And when you fold it over your 5/32 size cording, then you have a 1/2 inch on one side and 1/2 inch on the other. It's important that you get those sizes right. Cut your cording strips 1/2 inch, 1.5 inches rather, and get your cording size 5/32. So I'm going to reach over here and grab a pencil, and at the folded end, that's where I mentioned the folded end, put down your tape measure, come over about 3/4, or not about, but at 3/4 of an inch, like that. Let me do it at the end here. I'm going to go to the other end just now, or right now. 3/4 of an inch, just like that. I'm going to lay this 1.5 inch straight edge up to that mark there. Right there. Make a mark. And then keep it here, and now look at this. We already made 2 strips. This is 1 3/4 times 3/4, or plus 3/4 is 1.5 inches. So now we got 1 strip here, and then the one that's underneath here. So that's why I came over 3/4 of an inch. Why waste this if we don't have to? It works out fine. So remember, 3/4 inch in, make your mark, cut it out. You got 1 strip here. Underneath here you got 1. Flip this over. Make another one here. And then so on and so forth, right to the end of your fabric. You don't want to get too small down here. It looks a little irritating unless you have to. And what I mean by irritating is you'll look on the slip cover, you look on the cushion, and you got a strip of this big. It's not going to work very well. Now, or look very good. The important thing is to do this, make your marks, your arrows like this, okay? And when we cut the underneath, I have to make the arrows going in the same direction. Okay, so I made the arrows a little easier to see with the pen. And it's important that this is going to go in the same direction, but you have another piece underneath. Which one would you mark? This one, that one, this one here? You do the third one, and I want them to go in the same direction, or you want them to go in the same direction. So basically I did that. So we got these 2 here, skip, you got the top one, skip the next one, do this one right here and mark it in the same direction as the arrows on top. And the reason being is the same thing with the band cushions. You're going to see a shadow. It looks terrible. If you got one dark going this way and one light going this way and you join them together, you're not going to be happy. It doesn't look good. So keep the cording going in the same direction. We're going to show that at the table in part 3 when we sew all this together. Okay, we're completely done with cutting down the cording. I just need to make the arrow marks on the other side so they're all going in the same direction. So we got 2 more videos coming up. One's complete detailed on skirts. Where do you put the pleats on your skirt? So check out that video, and obviously the video for sewing everything we just now cut today. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed doing them. I certainly appreciate all the comments about how you enjoy them yourself and how they've helped you out on your project. So please let me know how they work out. As well, check out Kim's Upholstery. It's an excellent, excellent source for multiple ideas about upholstery, and they do excellent work. So I'm glad I found them. So thanks for watching. See you next time.